If you're South African, yeah, answer this please. Why don't you like the taxis there? If you're South African, yeah, answer this please. Are your pockets ready for this December? Because December is a whole nother world. You guys didn't tell me this. I'm potting with strangers, smoking things I've never done before, drinking things I don't know, shots I don't understand, every single day. How do you do it?
There's this thing in South Africa called Savanna. Let me tell you something. If you're Jamaican going to South Africa and you hear about the Savanna, do not underestimate the Savanna. In Jamaica, I know we used to our Ray nephew with our 63% alcoholic content, and we drink that Ray nephew and beat with chest like we're bad, like yes. From we're children, we beat with chest like we're bad and be like yes. We can drink alcohol until you buck Savanna. Do not underestimate the Savanna. When I was in South Africa, I went to this restaurant. Note I said restaurant, not nightclub. Restaurant that sold alcohol. I was out with my friends and tell the bartender that I want to just like get loose tonight. A friend said to me, get a Savanna. So I'm like, Savanna? What's a Savanna? That sounds fancy. And then they said to me, it's a cider. I'm like, cider? Friend, where you go with cider? I want something strong. I don't want no apple juice type thing. Friend said to me, just drink the Savanna, no man. Just drink the Savanna. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll drink the Savanna to shut you up because I'm used to 63% alcoholic content. Let me tell you something. When the first bottle of Savanna come, I look at it and I say, it's coming like apple juice. Give me apple juice to go drink, no man. I drink the Savanna. After the first bottle of Savanna, I reach on my foot and I was there like,
oh yeah, girl, this music is so great. Oh my God, yes.
But it not clicking. That is the Savanna doing it. It not clicking. But my friends who are South African are laughing at me and they're like, oh, the Savanna reached. The Savanna has arrived. And I'm like, y'all are idiots, but Savanna has arrived. I'm just in a really good mood. They look at each other and they start laughing. So I say, you know what, let me order some real alcohol here because I don't know what this apple juice thing doing. They're like, no, you need to get a second bottle of Savanna because Savanna just makes the girls go crazy. And I'm like, it's South African people, but apple juice make girl go crazy. And I'm like, all right, let me just get the Savanna again to shut you guys up. I drink in the Savanna. After the second bottle of Savanna, I get up and I'm like,
oh my God, I feel so sexy. Yes.
Pass me in the middle of the restaurant and then it start clicking now. Because every time somebody look at me, my friends point to the Savanna bottle and then they just nod and smile like they understood what was going on. Let me tell you something. So after that, a beer, Savanna alone, Savanna me drink. Savanna alone. Up to today day, I don't understand the power of this Savanna. It literally has next to no alcoholic content. It tastes like apple juice, but it does something to you here. Don't underestimate it. Can't say me never tell you.
Culture shocks from a Swede who moved to South Africa. If you walk into a store in Sweden, you never ask anyone, how are you? It's just not something we do, which is very impolite when you actually think about it. So when I moved here and people are like, hi ma'am, how are you? I was like, you're so nice. And I just love it. I could not handle spice when I moved here. Now I'm the person who's like, where's the chili oil? Where's the Tabasco? If you go to a restaurant in Sweden, you will never find Tabasco on the table. You will never find any chili on the table. If you want extra chili, you have to ask for it. They have to sprinkle some on your food in the kitchen and that's it. So in Sweden, we drive on the other side. So I still, even though I've lived here for a while now, sometimes make that mistake where I go into the driving seat instead of the passenger seat because I'm still not used to it.
Okay, culture shock, guys. I did not know it snows in Southern Africa. This is crazy. So this is the biggest culture shock. I've been running from the winter for over 8 years, and now I am stuck in the snow in Southern Africa. Come on, guys.
Culture shock. Japan and South Africa. In Japan, yeah. Hello, nice to meet you. Hello. Hello, nice to meet you. In South Africa. Yo, how are you? How are you? Nice to meet you. Hey. Oh, I get used to hug.
So here's one of the things that, as a foreigner coming to South Africa, was an adjustment. And it comes to petrol. When you go to a petrol station in Europe, most European countries, you pour your own petrol. You don't have anyone pouring your petrol. I remember the first time I got onto the petrol station and obviously parked, and I wanted to go and grab the thing, and then this guy's like, "Hey, what you doing?" And I'm like, "No, I'm pouring petrol." He's like, "No, man, get in the car." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I'm getting in the car. He's doing the thing, and then usually in Europe, what you do is you know, each petrol point has a number, and you go inside and you pay inside. So that's what I wanted to do. He's like, "No, man, here's the card machine."
That I love about living in South Africa as a British girl who has now lived over here for ages, there are just certain words that just they don't even translate into English effectively, but just themselves as words or phrases are just unmatched. The first one of these, which is my favorite, it's an Afrikaans word, loskop. There is nothing in English that is as useful, as convenient, as pleasant on the ear and on the tongue, and just apt for describing that kind of, that scatterbrained state of just being like, ugh, you know. And it can be used as an insulting thing, but quite frankly, I am a loskop and I am thrilled to be so. Like, I'm not insulted if you call me a loskop. For English people who have not heard it before, yeah, it just means like your head is all over the place, you're scatterbrained, you're kind of like a bit ditzy. Well, that's how I take it anyway. And like, I'm not insulted if someone calls me a loskop, because quite frankly, they're like right on the money. Scatterbrained just didn't quite like just have it just didn't hit the nail on the head, but loskop was just perfect. Things that I've learned as an ex-English girl who now lives in South Africa and is married and has a family here, and I've been here for ages. One of the biggest lessons that I learned very, very quickly is greet everybody, no matter the circumstances, with a hello and a how are you, before you can move forward in any way, shape or form. Now, I'm pretty well brought up. I'd like to think that I had good manners instilled in me from a young age. But when you live in South Africa, and this was the same in Botswana, you need to take that to another level. You cannot avert your eyes or just avoid making eye contact with the lady who works at the till in the supermarket, or the guy who's filling up your petrol for you, or someone that you just are passing on the street. You look them in the eye and you need to say, "Hi, how's it going?" or like, "How's your day going?" or "How are you?" If you want anything from anyone at any stage, your house could be on fire, your arm could have been chopped off. If you want something from someone, you greet them politely first, you look them in the eyes, and you pass the time of day with them. The problem is that now, when I go to England and I do this, if I walk into H&M or I go and order a coffee, I do what comes completely naturally to me now, and I go, "Hey, how's it going? How's your day?" And they literally look at me like I'm a psychopath. If you do this in England, people will think that you have broken out of an asylum, because it is just not the norm to greet people like this.
Okay, I'm currently in South Africa and I'm in Cape Town, and this is my first time here, and I'm in my hostel, and I feel like the biggest culture shock is, besides the way that they categorize race, which I was talking to a friend about today who's South African and from Cape Town, is the way that the meat tastes. Like, as someone from the US, I feel like beef just always tastes like very like neutral, like not that meaty, and honestly, like I prefer it like that. Like, I don't like meat that tastes super gamey. Like, I've had goat in like Colombia and Pakistan where like they cooked it and like killed it on the spot, and I didn't love it. But the meat here tastes so fresh that I'm like, oh my god, is this what meat is supposed to taste like? Is this what like meat without GMOs tastes like? It feels like so fresh and like a little gamey. And I've also had a lot of wine tonight, so sorry about that. But like, I feel like the two things that's like South Africa is famous for is like good meat and good wine. And I'm like, I understand what good meat tastes like good meat, like fresh meat, because I'm like, it tastes so gamey like actual meat, and I'm like, I don't know if I like it or not. And because like I never cook meat, like if I eat meat, it'll be eating out, and I live in Spain and we just don't eat that much beef. Like pork, yes, but beef not really, because it's expensive. But for a country that produces a lot of beef, like I'm not used to this.
Okay, here we go. Culture shocks when moving from Sweden to South Africa, part 1. Okay, this comment is so funny because yes, this was a huge shock for me. So I'd only lived in South Africa for about 6 months or so when I first experienced load shedding. And yeah, it was a bit of a shock. For those who don't know what load shedding is, let me explain to you the glorious load shedding of South Africa. And Eskom. So basically, to put it simple, South Africa doesn't have enough electricity to supply the whole country. And the electricity supplier Eskom sometimes decides that we need to save on electricity. So from these hours, we are going to turn off the electricity for this specific area, and then these hours we will turn off the electricity for this area. And they call it levels. So basically level 1 will be, I think it's 2 hours per day. Level 2 is like 4 hours, and so on and so on. And it goes all the way up to level 8, which I think is like 2 hours 6 times in one day. Yes, without electricity. And there's a schedule where you know that, okay, I'm going to have the power off from this time to this time because I live in this area. And you basically just have to make a plan and work your day around it. The funniest thing is also because South Africans are not known to be on time. But when it comes to load shedding, it's always on time. But this was just such a shock to me, especially because everybody's so chilled about it. They're like, yeah, that's just how it is. Yeah, whatever, we make a plan. If this happened in Sweden, people would riot. That's actually a great topic for my next video about cultural shocks, so stay tuned.
If you are looking to travel, here's why South Africa, and specifically Cape Town, is one of the best places to go if you are from Europe or the West. Amazing weather, incredible beaches on both sides. If you want to get warm beaches, go onto the side where it's like Durban, and that is the East Coast. On the West Coast you have Cape Town. Cape Town's an amazing city, and there is so much to do there, so many parties, so much lively action going on in Cape Town. It's a great city with great people. That is what makes a country, and that is what makes South Africa. Food is amazing, it's quite cheap, and the sunsets are like no other. Go on Chapman's Peak Drive for a crazy sunset. Views are obviously also incredible from Table Mountain. And if you're a nature person like me, then there is so much nature there to see, both in the ocean and on the land. There is safari parks, and then there are whales, dolphins, sharks, you name it, it's in the ocean. But I've gone back to Cape Town more than I have any other place on this planet. So there's reasons for that, and those are the reasons. Amazing destination.
Okay, I get this question a lot, so let's get into it. So in 2016, I graduated our equivalent to high school in Sweden. And yes, this is how we celebrate graduation in Sweden, but that's a story for a whole nother video. Anyway, I didn't know what I wanted to do after graduation. I knew I didn't want to continue studying right away. I wanted to travel the world, see new things. So I worked at a restaurant for the whole summer, saving a shitload of money for whatever I was going to decide to do. And during that summer, one of my parents' friends came to visit us, and he lived in Kenya for a long time and did a bit of horse riding there. So he spoke to me about it, and I've always been a horse riding girl, so I thought it sounded really cool. So we were talking about maybe finding a place for me in Kenya to do horse riding safaris or something similar. And that ended up falling through and didn't happen. But at that point, I was so set on Africa and like the horse thing. So I ended up Googling Africa, horses, volunteering, and I booked the first thing that came up. And a month after that, I ended up in South Africa, and I was about to have the biggest adventure of my life. It was nothing like what I expected. We went on crazy adventures, obviously did a lot of horse riding, and met incredible new friends. After those first 2 months in South Africa, I was hooked. I came back to Sweden to the biggest snowstorm in 200 years. For real. And I was miserable. I just couldn't stop thinking about South Africa, and I just knew that I needed to get back there. So for a year, I took a bunch of different jobs and just worked as much as I could and saved a lot of money to be able to go back to South Africa again. So in 2018, I went back and I did my guide training to be a qualified guide. I just wanted to learn more about the bush and be in South Africa, and this also gave me an opportunity to be in the country for a little bit longer and figure out if this is where I wanted to be. And during that time, that's when I met my boyfriend, Craig. So we were doing long distance while I was doing my guiding course and traveling around South Africa on crazy adventures. That also could be another video. And one day he phoned me and said that his bosses had offered me to come and work at the lodge he was working at. So I said yes, and that's how I ended up at my very first lodge job. At this point, I didn't have a visa, so I wasn't legally allowed to work. So I was working for free, volunteering at the lodge, and then I went back to Sweden during the summers and worked at the restaurant to be able to then go back to South Africa and work for free. Okay, this story is way too long. I'm gonna have to make a part 2.
I'm an Irish girl in South Africa, and today I am trying Black Label. I haven't even seen these balls before. In Ireland we have Carling, but we don't have Black Label, but we'll give this a try and see how it goes. Ooh, that was a good noise. Cheers everybody. As I said last time, Sláinte. Yep, it's got a good taste off it. I can definitely see myself drinking this on a night out. So cheers everyone, tell me what to try next in the comments.
I don't know why this took me about 7 years to learn about Cape Town. And here it goes. Cape Town is obviously like the Europe of South Africa, period. No question about it. But the people are much friendlier here than they are in Europe. And as a foreigner, you sometimes think, hey, like these people are very nice. This is not something that I'm used to because I'm from Europe. Now the thing is that you think that you made it into the friends group, or you're very likely to go into the friends group. Now being a foreigner, for a lot of South Africans, people think that you have money, which most of the times can be true, not always for me. Anyway, the thing is that people are very cliquey here in Cape Town. So if they don't benefit from you, there's nothing that they're gonna do in order to keep you as a friend, or try and involve them in your own friend group, or try and involve you into business or anything. Because if you want to do business in Cape Town, you need to have money, like lots of it. Whereas otherwise in Joburg or other places in South Africa, mainly Joburg, people are more willing to give you a shot if they know that you're hardworking, if you're dedicated, if you're disciplined, if you have an idea, whatever the case might be. Here in Cape Town, that's not really the case. Either you have a great idea and you're gonna get into a VC or something like that, or you have money and you have money to invest into their business. So it's either one of the two, but there's very hardly an opportunity that will come your way with someone that will decide, hey, you know what, let's do business together. Have money? No, I don't have money either. Let's figure this out. Let's find a... Doesn't exist. Just doesn't exist. Whereas that works in other places. So now this is my problem with it. This is a challenge, rather. Like, why are you all so cliquey? Can someone explain this to me? I don't understand why. And it starts to put me off as well, because why are you so friendly in the first place? But then it's so hard to, I don't know, make friends. I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. I don't know. I want to hear from other people. Maybe some of you have the same experience. I don't know.
So I have spent a month in South Africa, and this is what it's like living in a different country like this. First of all, it's not like Australia. You don't just get random spiders and stuff just chilling around or in the toilet or something. It just doesn't happen. You don't really get dangerous animals unless you go on hikes like up the mountains, like Tabletop Mountain, where you could potentially be bitten by some venomous snakes, but that's about it. As far as swimming and stuff goes, not dangerous at all. People think this is the great white shark capital of the world, but they have gone, I can assure you of that. They're only in certain areas, and even then people try and find them and they're virtually impossible to find. Now, one of the main differences between here and the UK is the way you greet people. Here in South Africa, it's hi, how are you, expecting a response and maybe having a conversation, where if you get in a Uber in the UK, they probably won't even say anything to you. They'll just be like, is that your name? Yep, and then drive off. But here, it doesn't matter if it's an Uber or a fish and chip shop. They're all friendly. Crime isn't as bad as I thought it'd be. It's pretty much non-existent where I am. If you go outside of Cape Town, don't get me wrong, you're in trouble, especially as a Caucasian person. But other than that, if you're actually in the city, completely fine. The weather is brilliant. It's coming up to summer here, so it's getting lighter and lighter while it's getting darker and darker in the UK. So that's one massive advantage of coming here. But yeah, it's a much happier place. And I think the sun has a massive part to do with that. Also, beer, food, just everything's better price and just better options. So I could definitely see myself living here as opposed to the UK.
Here's the story of how I ended up moving from Sweden to South Africa to follow a dream I didn't even know I had and end up doing what I do today. I grew up just outside Stockholm, Sweden, and until 2016, Africa hadn't really been on my radar. But then in 2016, I graduated our equivalent to high school, and I worked a summer job saving up a bit of money because I knew I didn't want to study right away, and I wanted to travel, and I wanted to see something different. And then on a whim, because of a series of random events, I ended up booking a 2-month volunteering trip at a horse safari in South Africa. And that was probably the best decision I have ever made. That trip literally changed my life, and even though I've always been passionate about nature, being a scout when I was younger, and always enjoyed photography, this just put those two together and really sparked a fire within me wanting to learn more about nature and especially the amazing wildlife that I got to see on this trip. I came back to Sweden and I was absolutely miserable. All I could think about was going back to South Africa. So I saved up a lot of money and eventually I was able to come back in 2018 to do my guiding course. This is called Fugasa. It was my level 1. And while doing this guiding course, we also traveled around South Africa for 2 months. We got to see some really amazing places and got to see more of this country that I didn't realize even existed. And while I was studying to become a guide, I met my now fiancé, Craig, and through him I was able to get a work visa and eventually come and work with him in the bush. He was a guide, so I started working as a front of house, which is basically like guest relations at a lodge, and that made it possible for me to be in the bush. And on my free time, I started taking more and more photos and really enjoyed being out in nature and capturing what I saw. Through my photography, I was trying to convey the feeling of what it was like being here for all my friends and family back home. And I think that is still what I try to do through my photos. I try to tell the story of what it's like seeing these incredible animals in the wild. We worked together in the lodge industry for 4 years, and during that time, I started sharing my photography on social media. I also started following a lot of other photographers and getting inspired by other people. And slowly this idea grew of starting our own business. And eventually we took the very big leap of resigning from our jobs and starting working full-time with our business. And that is what we do to this day. We have a safari company together where we help people plan their safaris, both in South Africa, but also in other parts of Africa. We do that both for photographers, but also for people who are just looking for their dream safari. And that works hand in hand with my photography business, where I teach wildlife photography to some of our guests on our workshops, but also online through my online courses and ebooks. And other than that, we also do freelancing, working with different companies and different projects, and in general, just trying to figure out ways that we can do what we love every single day and live life to the fullest.
I'm an Irish girl in South Africa, and today I am trying a springbokkie. Cheers!
Ching ching.
Ching ching! There is some nice mint off the bottom of it. I like the cream on the top. Yeah, amarula. It's got a nice kick. 10 out of 10 from me. Hey, I am an Irish girl in South Africa, and on the last video I did trying biltong, a lot of people commented that I should try Oros, which I think is this. We don't have this in Ireland, for sure. So I'm gonna try it and tell you guys what I think. Cheers! It's actually quite nice. It's very, 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 very sugary, but like, yeah, like I wouldn't drink loads of it. It's nice. It's extremely sugary though. There you go, I've tried it. Tell me what else I should try.
Culture shocks from a Swede who moved to SA. So this was new to me. We don't do this in Sweden. Wrap something that already is wrapped naturally. Like, it's just a little bit weird to me. And I feel like it's not good for the environment. So that's something we need to change. It definitely took some getting used to that when you enter someone's home, you don't take off your shoes. That's just something we do in Sweden. You always take off your shoes in your own house and in other people's houses. So that was something that was like a little bit weird to me when I came here. Personally, I have a no shoe rule. But yeah, it took some time to get used to that.
Put a finger down if you don't know how to do makeup. That's not actually what this video is about. I'm going to start explaining a little bit about how I ended up in South Africa as a British girl who's now married to South African and I have a child here and blah, 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 blah. So, put a finger down if at the age of 18, your boyfriend of 2 years, who had been your like high school love, broke up with you, broke your heart, very sweetly though, to be fair to him, and you at the same time got rejected from every university that you applied to, even though you had been a class A nerd at school and you were supposed to go on straight to university and get your degree, blah, 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 blah. Got rejected by everybody. And then you are basically faced with taking a gap year that you didn't want to take, and you're not sure what to do because you've never really lived away from home, and you have social anxiety and undiagnosed ADHD, which you'll only find out when you're 36. So you're faced with now needing to earn money so that you can travel, actually go and do something. Oh my gosh, I need to do this with this. So you go work in a shop and you have a pretty PG-13 love affair with a very nice older guy called Rob, who kind of helps you mend your broken heart while you're folding sweatshirts and overpriced linen shirts, earning money so that you can travel. The love affair fizzles out because Rob moves away to go skiing and falls in love with someone else. So then you have an opportunity to go and live in Italy for a while. So you go to Florence, you don't know anybody, you've never lived anywhere by yourself before, and you move into this like old, probably haunted apartment with a girl called Daisy, who has even worse social anxiety than you have, which you will only find out later on. And you start a brief stint studying at the British Institute in Florence. And so you're going in every day, learning about art history, meeting new people, many of whom just seem way too cool and like not in your league at all. One day you're sitting with these really cool people who you don't think are ever going to be friends with you, and one of them asks if the others all like to blaze at all, and you mishear them and you think that they're asking about blading, that you think that they're asking about rollerblading. So you express interest because, you know, you like the sound of rollerblading, even though, you know, you've never been successful on any kind of wheeled recreational vehicle. But it turns out they're not talking about rollerblading at all, and you only discover that later to your immense embarrassment. Anyway, you're still in Italy, and you're still living with unhinged Daisy, whose social anxiety is becoming more and more apparent every day. But then you have another PG-13 love affair with a very sweet, very gentle boy who promptly falls in love with you, and is prepared to, you know, continue your love affair when you move back to England, when really that ship has well and truly sailed for you. Meanwhile, before you leave Italy, you get your nose pierced and you feel like you have really grabbed life by the balls, and you are now well on your way to being self-sufficient and being able to function by yourself. Next step is you're going to go to South Africa, and you're going to go live in South Africa and go work at a lodge run by your cousin, who's very kindly got you a spot doing, in his own words, whatever anybody wants you to do and all the jobs that no one else wants to do. So that is your next step. You've saved enough money, you've worked in the shop, you've had 2 love affairs, you've had your heart broken, you've broken someone else's heart, you've got your nose pierced, you embarrassed yourself sufficiently, but you feel like you're getting somewhere now. Stay tuned for part 2. Oh, yeah, and I'm putting my finger down because all of that refers to me, obviously.
You won't believe what happened when a European asked for chips in South Africa and ended up with a bag of Simba instead of a plate of fries. That's just one of the many delightful, hilarious, and sometimes jaw-dropping culture shocks Europeans face when they move to the Rainbow Nation, South Africa. Now, let's talk about it. Real culture shock. Not the kind where you're just mildly surprised. I'm talking, wait, what? It snows in Africa. Level of shock. Because that's exactly the kind of reaction many Europeans have when they realize South Africa isn't all desert and elephants. Nope. Try snow in the Drakensberg Mountains and freezing cold fronts in Cape Town. I mean, you go from sipping cocktails on Camps Bay Beach to shivering like a meerkat in midwinter. But let's rewind a bit. A European lands in South Africa, full of curiosity, maybe expecting lions at traffic lights. And what do they get? Bakkies. Not just cars, not trucks, bakkies. And someone offers them a robot at the corner. Sounds like a sci-fi movie, right? In South Africa, a robot is just a traffic light. So yes, Europeans spend their first few weeks thinking the country is run by a gang of talking pickup trucks and machines at intersections. And then there's the language. Oh my goodness, even if you speak English, you're not ready. South African English is its own spicy dish. Just now doesn't mean immediately. It could mean in 5 minutes, or 5 hours, or never. Now is somehow faster, but still not now. Try explaining that to someone from Germany. It fries their brains, but they learn fast. Because as confusing as it is, it's charming. South Africans have a way of making language feel warm and personal. You don't just greet someone with a boring, hello. No, it's, how's it, or, sharp, my brew. And suddenly you feel like family, even if you just met at a petrol station. Speaking of petrol, that's another one. Not gas, petrol, and you don't pump it yourself. Oh no, South Africa still has attendants. Real people, who fill up your tank, wash your windows, check your oil, and somehow manage to crack a joke while doing it. For a European, used to standing in the cold rain in Belgium filling up their own car, this is luxury. But let's move to food. Because oh wow, the food. Europeans get shook. Proper shook. First of all, the meat tastes different. Fresher. Realer. There's a richness to it. South Africans love their braai, and it's not just a barbecue. It's a ritual. It's family. It's storytelling with smoke in the air and borrowers on the fire. And Europeans notice that. They bite into that sausage and go, what is this? Why does it taste alive? Because it kind of is. South African meat is often less processed, more organic, and full of flavor that makes supermarket sausages back home taste like cardboard. And then there's pap, the ultimate comfort food. It looks like mashed potatoes, but it's not. Made from maize, it's a staple that confuses a lot of newcomers. But give it 5 tries, just 5, and it becomes the thing they miss when they leave. Pap with chakalaka, that's soul food. Now, let's not forget hospitality. Europeans are often blown away by how warm and generous South Africans are. A simple visit to someone's home turns into a feast. You get offered tea, coffee, cold drink, snacks, maybe a plate of food even if you didn't ask for one. South Africans don't play when it comes to hosting. It's not just about being polite, it's about making you feel like part of the tribe. And the diversity. One day you're hiking in Table Mountain, the next you're at a vineyard in Stellenbosch, and the day after that you're riding a camel in the Karoo. For a European used to booking flights just to see the sun, South Africa is a game changer. Mountains, oceans, deserts, forests, and more, all in one country. But it's not all sunshine and wine. Some culture shocks are more subtle. Like how people stand so close when queuing, or how someone might randomly call you boss, or auntie, or uncle, even if you've never met. Or how strangers start conversations at taxi ranks, in grocery stores, even at the bank. South Africans are not shy. Europeans might feel weird about it at first, but eventually, they start doing it too. Now, weather. We already mentioned snow, but can we talk about how Cape Town can have 4 seasons in one day? You leave the house in a t-shirt and sunglasses, and by lunchtime, you're wrapped in a hoodie dodging hailstones. Europeans, used to predictable drizzle or clean-cut seasons, are absolutely bamboozled. But they love it, because it keeps things interesting. South Africa isn't boring, ever. Then there's the wild mix of cultures. It's not unusual to hear someone switch between English, Afrikaans, Zulu, and a little Sesotho in the same sentence. For a European, It's like walking into a living, breathing symphony of languages. Confusing. Yes. Beautiful. Absolutely. And can we talk about music and dance? Because Europeans are not ready. They go to a wedding or a street festival expecting polite clapping and soft jazz. Instead, they find GQOM, amapiano, and pantsula dancing that shakes the ground. They discover that South Africans don't just move to music, they become the music. It's in their bones. Europeans try to join in. Sometimes it's awkward, but no one laughs, because South Africans love effort. Romance. Oh, that's another surprise. South Africans are romantic in their own way, direct, expressive, a little cheeky. There's none of that cold reserve. A South African will call you, my love, after knowing you for 30 minutes. And they mean it. The passion is real. For Europeans used to playing hard to get, it's a breath of fresh air. Or a heatwave, depending on how fast it moves. Even the politics can be a shock. Europeans used to bland leaders are amazed by how animated, vocal, and even theatrical South African politics can be. It's not boring. Whether it's a fiery debate in parliament or a president dancing on stage, it's a whole experience. And Europeans, at first confused, end up watching Parliament TV like it's a soap opera. And finally, the sense of unity. Even with all the challenges, South Africans have a spirit that's hard to match. Ubuntu isn't just a word, it's a way of life. That, I am because you are, philosophy, that deep connection between people, that resilience in the face of hardship, it moves people. Europeans come in thinking they're visiting a country. They leave feeling like they've been adopted by a family. So yeah, culture shock. Absolutely. But it's the good kind. The kind that shakes your worldview and leaves you better for it. Europeans come to South Africa expecting one thing and find something far more magical. They stay for the sunshine, but they fall in love with the people, the food, the language, the heart. And the moment they leave, they start dreaming of coming back. Because once you've felt the soul of South Africa, you never forget it.